Do you think that started because, like, before the game they walked up together and they're like, hey, contractually this player is going to kill me? He is going to crush me if I do not play her. Please.
I mean, it's working better for Kalani Brown in Phoenix than it was working for Tierra McCowan in Dallas.
So it turns out that when Dallas was trying to get everyone to trade for one of them, it was just, hey, which one are you paying less money? That's the one we're going to get to not storm off the court.
It seems reasonable.
It's reasonable enough. Anyway, welcome back. Today on the show, we are going to talk about the opening weekend action, specifically just the basketball part.
The basketball, the games that were happening.
It's possible we'll talk about other
opted
stuff
out
too.
of the discourse.
Was there discourse? Who knows? Let's get to it.
I didn't see any discourse.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are Locked On to Women's Basketball. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free of it and available wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. My name is Emily Adler, and you will notice that I'm not Hunter Cruz. Hunter Cruz today unfortunately came down with a case of the scurvy. The scurvy is keeping him locked in his room until he can reattend the lake tomorrow. This is why our opening segment is going so smoothly, because I am joined by my regular co-host, Lincoln Shafer. Lincoln Shafer is a member of our draft scouting team, which I head, along with a regular member of this podcast group. He also contributes to our draft coverage here at Locked On Women's Basketball and The Next. So just diving right into it, Lincoln, how about the basketball?
Satu Sabali is playing out of her mind tonight on both ends. This episode is being recorded during the fourth quarter of Phoenix and Seattle, and I have really enjoyed the Satu Sabali experience tonight. She just had a really nasty block on Gabby Williams in the paint. That was very fun. Phoenix looks awesome. Phoenix looks like they're having a lot of fun. Alyssa Thomas is the greatest floor raiser in the history of basketball outside of LeBron James. So, like, they're just... You put pieces around Alyssa Thomas that can shoot and defend and sometimes do things with the ball, and good things are going to happen. And Nick Uren and Nate Tibbetts have done that this offseason. They have found a couple of these kind of forgotten players that just kind of slipped off of the radars. Catherine Westbeld has been awesome for them in the first couple preseason games, and tonight against Seattle, Lexi Held has been playing real rotation minutes, and Monica Koamakani has been a revelation at the guard spot for them. I am loving what I've seen from the Phoenix Mercury.
Wasn't there a thing like Spy Kids where it was like the Forgotten Toys or something?
Are you thinking of isn't that a Christmas movie?
No, I'm definitely not thinking
Island of Forgotten Toys?
No, there was something in that where it was like the discards or something.
It's very possible. It sounds like something Spy Kids would do.
Sounds like something that would happen in a movie that I'm trying to reference the fact that I haven't watched it in 20 years. Speaking of things suddenly jumping forward in time 20 years, it's absolutely insane that like this is the first time Alyssa Thomas has played in like any amount of space in her career.
Yeah.
she's I guess the best point guard in league history.
I mean, she's been the top 3 in assists the last couple of years. She was second last season. We've known that Alyssa Thomas is a downhill force that can make plays with the ball in her hands, and putting shooters around her and not playing her next to an Al Jefferson type of center is going to unlock her.
That is slanderous. Al Jefferson would have looked way better against the Mystics last night.
Yeah. Going to that game, I think I might be concerned about the Atlanta Dream. Their defense is worrying to me, especially without, arguably the most talented defender on their roster in Jordan Canada for who knows how long. We don't really have any updates on that. She's hurt. And
she had... It's a knee thing, right? All we know is it's a knee thing?
It's a leg thing, and we don't really have a timeline, and I don't really feel good about that. and their defense was getting shredded by Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen. So
their offense was also getting shredded by Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen.
Yeah. Shout out to the Mystics rookies. They looked like they were having the time of their lives out there.
Pretty much. And then, like, look, I want to be clear that a lineup of Jade Melbourne, Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen, Emily Engstler, and whoever is the fifth player in that lineup, that's not going to be a good lineup. I want to be clear about that. That being said,
usually,
I'm going to enjoy the hell out of
Brittany
that lineup.
Sykes. It's so fun. There's 4.5 players that can dribble and make decisions with the ball in their hands, and like some of them don't really want to score. But Jade Melbourne was taking pull-up threes against unders. Like
and she was hitting like half of them.
Yeah, she was hitting threes. That's a huge development for her game at this point, where we've kind of been hoping for her to
solid defensively, which is
yeah.
Look, if I was to pick which one of those was less likely,
it's the defense. Yeah, by far. She's always been like a really fun passer and someone who is incredibly creative with the ball in her hands. The defensive intensity in the WNBL is not exactly the highest of any league in the world.
The pace is.
The pace is incredibly high, which is why Jade thrives down there and kind of why she plays the way she does. But it's tremendously fun basketball happening in Washington right now. I am excited for the Mystics to keep playing games, and I don't know if I would have said that a week ago.
I don't think I would have said that at any point in the past 3 years.
And Shakira Austin is probable for Sunday's game, so we might even be seeing them with their most talented player.
Is that a hot take?
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm sure.
Are you taking Slim or Steph Dolson in terms of just pure talent?
I don't. Those are two different players in terms of talent level.
They're the two most experienced starters on the roster.
You're equating like a good stretch five with like the best defensive guard of all time.
Yeah. I will own up. I was wrong. I was saying in the preseason that we need to get Slim to a real team. The Mystics might be a real team.
They're more real than Atlanta. They certainly have a better.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just.
Yeah.
At least Alicia Gray's good.
Alicia Gray is very good. She put up crazy numbers in that game. I think 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 20-something points.
And she was being pretty heavily guarded too.
Yeah.
Like those were not easy points.
Mm-hmm.
I do love
very fun basketball.
On the Mystics end of things, I do love the bit where it's like, oh, it turns out that like the coach who just got fired, in this case Teaspoon, wasn't actually the best coach on her own staff. Like I don't want to declare that yet. That'd be a good bit.
Maybe the bit is actually that they just needed to unlock the power of assistant coach extraordinaire Emre Vantsever.
Is he on the is he a Mystics assistant?
Yes, Emre is on the Mystic staff.
Oh my God. No wonder they're so good. They're the most handsome staff in basketball.
Exactly. It's hard to argue.
Coming up after the break, we will
the Mercury just went up by 23 points in the fourth quarter. And they still look like they're having fun.
Which is both of those things are a change.
Yeah, that's a big development for Phoenix.
We like to have fun here. We also like to win at the same time. Because good culture doesn't win games.
Lexi held pull-up threes in transition win games, apparently.
Catherine Westfeld's starting minutes win games.
She was good. She's been good.
Shout out to Robert M. Lawrence, honestly.
Yeah.
Who, like, look.
Yeah. And they don't even have Kit Laxa back yet.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying my dad of his draft boards over the years has been unjustified, but look, he's right about Catherine Westfeld. He's more right about Catherine Westfeld than I think I've been right about anything in my life.
She looks like a real player, which is an upgrade.
It's looking over like a half of the players in this game.
Yeah.
Also, Sivyuzun apparently is like very useful as a screener.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have some creativity, which you can say a lot of things about the 2024 Dallas Wings, but a creative offense was not really one of them.
You can say a lot of things. Many of them would be true. Coming up after the break, we'll slander some other coaches. Basketball season is at its peak. With the playoffs heating up, now's the time to put your sports knowledge to work with PrizePicks, the daily platform for daily fantasy sports. PrizePicks makes it easy. You just pick Lincoln. Lincoln, what do you pick?
More?
Or
you pick less?
On at least 2 player projections, and you're in.
Well, more. You pick more.
Less. Whether it's points, rebounds, or assists, you've got a shot to win up to 2,000 times your entry. So, for example, if I was looking at tomorrow's games, and I saw that Minnesota was playing the Los Angeles Sparks, I
would take more on a lot of things.
I, on the other hand, would look at a lot of other things and pick less.
More on Courtney Williams' shot attempts.
Less on Kelsey Plum points.
Yeah.
Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Roll your game. Speaking of the Minnesota Lynx, for those of you who did not fast forward through our last ad, Lincoln. I've heard there was a player who made their debut on Friday.
Which player are we talking about here?
Marianne Badian?
Marianne Badian, yeah. She's a basketball player. I would just like to note that
my girlfriend's gonna kill me for I pronounced that.
I'd just like to note that they just put up a thing that was talking about all the players that have scored a lot of points, and they misspelled Napheesa Collier and Caitlin Clark on the thing in the Mercury game. So
the Mercury booth is incredible for
bad.
So many reasons.
It's got a whole thing and it says Napheesa Collier.
I was gonna say I hope they never change, but really I'm begging
S?
them to change so they can be audible. like I can just listen to them not on mute for once.
Yeah.
Is it weird? Okay, Lincoln, how do you feel about NBA broadcasters?
I've never really listened to a ton of the home broadcast booths. I like some of the national teams. I got very tired of Mark Jackson over the last 5 years.
Did anyone ever like Mark Jackson's announcing?
Yeah, fair.
On the only positive purpose Mark Jackson's announcing ever served was all the Trebla tweets about to me blue cheese.
There goes that man.
To me, blue cheese does not belong in cereal. If anyone listening actually understands this reference, please log off.
Yeah, the Minnesota Lynx, Napheesa Collier, very good at basketball. Courtney Williams having the time of her life always on the basketball court. And in
the parking lot, just ask Crystal Bradford.
Suspended because of that. Yeah, the Lynx are a well-oiled machine, and even without 2 of their starters, they kind of put a beat down on the Wings. Jessica Shepard, back in the W after not playing last year, looks awesome.
Swole.
Yeah, she is just kind of all over the place.
Swolperd? No. Just swole. Just swole.
And that's a really good. If she's their backup center, they're so deep. They're going with the no bad players approach to team building, where they just have 9 players who are better than your 6th best player. And that is a great way to win a lot of games and be competitive in the playoffs when you also have one of the 3 best players in the league.
Right. Generally, like the team that has the approach of we may not have the best player in this matchup, but we will have like the 3rd through 6th and 7th best players, usually is not the team that's going to win a playoff series. But it helps when the best player is also like bare minimum like the 4th best player in the league.
at absolute worst.
At absolute bare minimum, yes.
Yeah, you
like,
have a top
you
5
shouldn't be
player.
able to do that. And frankly, shout out to Claire DeWillis and Cheryl for that because it's incredible.
Having a top 5 player and going 10 deep with real players is super impressive.
Every piece of slander that many have made, including myself, about them, being aimless for a number of years and deciding not to rebuild. Sorry, I was wrong.
And their only top 5 pick from that time, Diamond Miller, looked very good in that game against the Wings. She is finally healthy and has kind of locked in as a wing that does things on both ends. And that's a huge boon for them.
I mean, your hope is the players that do things on both ends. That's kind of the thing with the Lynx in particular, is you have 0 players, basically. You have one player, it's Carly Samuelson, who does not do things on both ends. Like in the entire
Carly
lineup.
Can do on the defensive end. She's long.
She's not a turnstile.
She's got good positional size.
If Carly Samuelson is the worst defender on probably your entire roster, that's
still
good.
Is appealing. But yeah.
Ooh, good point. If Carly Samuelson is the second worst defender on your entire roster,
Carly Samuelson's the worst defender in your rotation.
That's a good point.
Because Peely is mostly just getting spot minutes as just kind of a spacing 5. And
tell me the 4th string center isn't getting a lot of minutes?
Yeah. But she's still going to come in there and hit people. And it's great.
Yeah, because she's a linebacker. That's her job.
Yeah. The Wings are going to be interesting. They
in a good way, a bad way, or a dramatic way?
All of the above.
Let's go.
Because they have a player who got benched and pouted for the rest of the game on the sideline and walked off the court while everybody else was still there. They have
emotionally been 12 once.
They have one of the more interesting rookies in Isaiah James.
JJ Quinterly?
Yeah, JJ Quinterly, Isaiah James. I'm interested to see what they look like when Louisa Geiselshoder comes over, because she has been very fun in Europe.
Yeah,
and they just kind of do
the
things.
issue is at that point you have, assuming that they want to keep playing Liss as sort of a switching 5 with MHA, which I don't endorse, but I don't endorse, but we're going to see what's going to happen anyway. Assuming that is what they're doing here, you have between, I don't mind if I'm missing anyone, you have between Liss, McCowan, and Geiselshoder 3 centers who are all solid, who are all at least solid offensive, who are just solid offensive players, and also can't really defend, certainly at a playoff level.
I actually have a take that I want to get off here. I think that we could be looking at one of our favorite WNBA words. I think we could be looking at a Tierra McCowan contract divorce. Because I don't think they're getting anyone.
Been filled with all kinds of divorces lately. Why not a new one?
I don't think they're getting any kind of real offers back in trades. Because the only way that you're going to be able to trade
they tried
Tierra
to. They found out that they couldn't.
Right. They have to call Golden State or Connecticut or one of those teams that has cap space and say, hey, we'll attach a pick and just want to get off this contract. Because she played 4 minutes in their opener and was resoundingly not in the rotation for the second half. And I just don't think that there's a way that they can get off that contract unless it's a contract divorce.
Right. And they tried that before.
Right. And she just doesn't seem like the kind of person that would be content to just hang out on the bench for the rest of the season.
What was your first clue?
I don't know. I really do think we could be looking at our first big buyout since Tina Charles from the Mercury here.
Remember when this team had 6 centers and they were all vaguely WNBA caliber players?
They could really use Bella Allery right now.
They could really use Bella Allery. Oh, jeez. You're looking at. Oh my God! Hold on.
She'd be the best. She'd be the best defender over 6'1" on the entire team by a lot.
You're looking at a team that, when was the last time Bella Allery? Was Bella Allery on the 23 team? Or was
I
it
don't
just
think
20,
so. I
was
think
it
she
20?
last played in 22.
She didn't. I just looked at the. Okay. You're looking at a team that in 21 had Bella Allery, Charlie Collier. Again, I'm not saying all these players are good. Bella Allery, Charlie Collier, the good version of Izzy Harrison, Awak Kuir, and Satu as your
They could use a
tall
walk
players.
too.
So much. In 22, they had, unfortunately, still Charlie Collier, but still the good version of Izzy Harrison, Awak Kuir, the good version of Tierra McCowan, and Satu Sabali.
Yeah.
Now their center rotation is variably Maisha Heinz-Allen, Tierra McCowan, Melissa Smith, and Louisa Geiselsholder.
Whenever she gets there.
Yeah, which is not an untalented group. Like offensively,
Right.
that is at least a decent offensive group.
Yeah. It's just that you're gonna run into tons of problems on the defensive end. And having a very good wing defender that you picked up in the offseason can't fix all the problems of having no good big defenders.
Yeah. Well, there's always next year. There's always next year.
They are going to try to score 100 points a game.
I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. And
it's not as well as
you're
working
in
for
a
Indiana.
position where, like, Paige Beckers is only taking 10 shots, really, you got to get that number up. You got to pump those numbers.
Now, let me see this here. Yeah, so in their first game of the in their only game of the season, really. So Arike ran a 30% usage. Dejanay ran 23. May Shines Allen ran 23. Paige Beckers ran a 20% usage. You
got to get that number up. You have to get the ball in her hands more.
Even just on a one game, even like on a one game like sample here, which is the dumbest possible sample.
Right. I mean,
genuinely dumber than 0 games.
It's the only sample we have right now, and it matters a lot.
There's just no reason that should happen in any game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the game plan is. There's just no reason that should happen. Like, she does too much too well to not do more. Even Gino Auriemma somehow figured this out.
Yeah.
Coming up after the break, we will slander some more. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And this year's matchups are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. I was just on the app looking at Knicks versus Pacers, and zone deals were offering 60% off in great sections. I love that I can see my exact view before I buy. No surprises. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Speaking of young scoring guards.
Zaya Cook.
I said scoring, not shooting. Scoring.
She was tied for the third leading scorer for the Storm tonight. Is it bad for the Storm that 3 of their starters combined for 6 points on 19 shots?
The issue is that I don't expect that to necessarily get easily fixed. Like, Ezzy is a really nice offensive piece if she's your 5th best scorer. She's absolutely like overqualified to be the 5th best scorer on a title team.
Right.
If she's even your 3rd best scorer, you're so screwed.
Alicia Clark, only 1 shot attempt in 20 minutes tonight. Gabby Williams, 1 for 9. Ezzy Magbagor, 1 for 9.
Which is a shame because like Gabby was playing well generally.
Yeah.
It's the same issue it's always been with her, right? If you put her in the we've seen her in the right infrastructure for like a total of 3/4 of a season across 22 and 23, and it's worked so well.
Well, and for the last 3 years at Fenner, we've seen it.
That's EuroLeague. It doesn't count. I mean, she hits jumpers in France. It clearly does not count.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when you watch her in the Olympics hitting like pull up mid range shots, the same one she will brick every time in the W, you're like, okay, this is fake basketball.
We had a triple-double in the WNBA the first weekend.
Thank you
with
for finally
4
hitting my
blocks.
segue.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark had a triple-double with 4 blocks, which is
And 2
something that
steals.
had never been done before in league history.
Which is pretty notable because Candace Parker has multiple.
Right. If the Fever play this well defensively, I am scared.
If the Fever play this well defensively, they should be the title favorite.
That doesn't seem like Aaliyah Boston was really good today.
He's so good.
If she kind of unlocks things for them.
Right. I talked about this a couple of times in my articles last year, but like one of the biggest things it was there if you were looking for it, but it wasn't super obvious when it was happening, was them really putting a lot into getting her to speed up her processing.
Yep.
And you could
see short roll is huge.
It was really it wasn't bad, but it was tough in the beginning of the year. Actively improving someone's cognition and processing speed is really difficult in any facet of learning. When doing live sports, there's a lot of pressure and adrenaline running here, and it makes it even harder to implement these things. And it was really impressive how much that progressed last year. What she's able to do as such a quick decision maker right now for a center is really impressive. And like you said, it really unlocks a lot of things they want to do. It basically
because Caitlin and Kelsey are always going to draw too.
And it's the connection between Caitlin and Kelsey when the other one has the help, and it makes it so much better. Like you can see, frankly, you can see the difference between that and how Bree Jones and BG were working Atlanta's offense, where they work as sort of this intermediary when they're playing in the mid range between a lead guard who's drawing 2 at the arc and the open shooter or the person you're trying to swing to, and how quickly it goes and how much defensive attention they pull as no pun intended, the swingman is really huge. And what Aaliyah can do with that and how quickly she can go from passing it to shooting it to driving it is so impressive especially for someone of her size too. The fact that she is moving so well. She's in insane shape.
Yeah. Aaliyah looked awesome. Caitlin was incredible. Kelsey Mitchell is super fun. And DeWanna Bonner moved into 3rd place on the all-time WNBA scoring list.
Yeah, it was at the lines. So
shout out to one of the all-time greats.
Also, shout out to one of the other all-time players, Natasha Howard. She's like really good for
a basketball player.
She was really good for a couple of quarters, and then kind of got benched.
I mean, if they like what Damiris Dantas does as like a playmaker and someone who can kind of stretch the floor a little bit more, I understand that. You know what else I liked about this game? I like the high-low connection that Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso have.
Yes.
Because both of them are such talented passers for their positions that they can play off of each other in a really fun way that is pretty unique for 4 or 5 combos in the league.
Yeah. Angel today specifically was really fun. She was so fun. It was really player. Like the shooting is what the overall scoring is what it is. So like
it
feels weird.
She hit a 3.
It feels weird necessarily saying like so she was like so good, but like when she was hitting, it was great. Like the pull up 3, I yelled at my computer, and the what was it? There was a drive when I think she just went through Natasha Howard. Yeah, the correct vendor. That was sick. And like these are things that she didn't necessarily do at LSU like at all. Like we knew she could drive, we knew she could finish through contact. By watching both and by watching her handle, we can say, okay, she can probably do this. But like doing it against, a person who's at least one-on-one a decent defender for that size, it's really impressive. And yeah, a lot of the passing was sick. A lot of it was over ambitious, which like for a second year sort of
I'd rather like, you have I always say this about passers is that I'd rather have to rein it in a little bit than try to get you to make the more aggressive reads.
At this age, absolutely. And for someone who, like that was our thing for her coming out of LSU, was like the path to offensive, like consistent positive value and impact here, obviously rebounding, but it's passing. And like
for sure.
Some of like the setups here I think are even beyond what I was necessarily expecting. If these are the growing pains, like it can become something consistently really good.
Yeah, and 12 points and 17 rebounds today, 7 of those coming on the offensive end. That is that is an Angel Reese game. And
and it's not and it's really not her fault they couldn't score it at all.
Right.
Like she helped.
The offense bogging down when it gets bogged down if you're not getting anything offensively from Kia Nurse. If you're like Kia Nurse and Courtney Vandersloot combined to shoot 4 for 17. If you're not getting any scoring out of the guard spot, it's really, really not going to help.
Right, like the way it looked in the first quarter when they were coming off the screens, they were hitting it quickly. Yeah. And again, obviously, so much of how a game opens is, for those of you who don't know, coaches script that. They write up what they're going to do ahead of time, and then they go to it. There's some adjustments made based on game state. There's some adjustments made based on whether you're in half court or in transition, but for the most part, a lot of that is scripted. And so, you're not always going to have that advantage in the second, third quarters of, we know what we're looking for here because we've scouted it so far ahead of time. We're going to have Keeners coming off of this. We're going to have Beck Allen curling off of that, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But it does give you a sample of what this can look like if, Atkins hits on bigger volume from 3 than she has in years past. If Beck Allen can do what she has done, maybe not all the time. If Keeners eventually becomes an entirely different player that they add via free agency or the draft.
Yeah.
But like there's pathways here. And like the outline is better than the outline that has more potential than I necessarily thought it would.
Sure.
Yeah. And
you can see the bones of a solid team here.
Right. And like I'm not an optimist when it comes to this league. And especially this team. Like
what would really help this team?
Someone like Sonia
Citrone. Yeah. Yeah. It's Sonia.
I'll say for the record, they needed someone like Citrone or like Atkins being able to take and hit as many jumpers as she does is something I don't think that we necessarily. I don't think Citrone can do now. And I don't think we expect to project Citrone for. So if you're looking for that one thing in particular, then I get moving that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's tough. It's a tough look at how Citrone played.
Just to touch on the last game that we haven't talked about yet, Kelsey Plum is awesome.
Julie Van Loo, just as good.
Julie Van Loo was having the time of her life. The third quarter, I
would too if I got to move from DC to the Bay Area.
And she hit 3 threes in a row in the third quarter. And there was one more heat check that if it went down, I think that the Chase Center might have exploded. Like it might have achieved liftoff. I would be shocked if she's not their starting point guard for their next game.
Who started that one?
Veronica Burton started at the guard spot with Tip Hayes and Kate Martin.
Yeah, it's changing real quick.
Yeah.
But it isn't changing. It's Locked On Basketball being your first lesson every day.
That's right.
I love segues. Join the team of the next week for continued coverage of women's basketball. Make your second listen Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, until an NBA champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA and on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.